Greetings, aliens. This is TJ, and you're watching Studio Sessions with Astronoize. Today, I want to give you a walkthrough of one of our tracks coming off of our debut EP that is releasing on IAMT Techno. If you are familiar with that label, that is the label of Spartak, one of my favorite DJ producers since pretty much I started listening. Actually, our buddy Ty, shout out Ty, way back in the day, he kind of introduced us to this label. He had found it and introduced us to it, and yeah, we've been listening to it for quite some time now. So to land an EP on this label is pretty, pretty full circle, pretty monumental for us. So really happy for it. Comes out this Friday on Beatport. You can pre-order it now. The name of the EP is called Theory of Rave, and this particular song is the title track, Theory of Rave, that I'm just going to give you a walkthrough. I thought that might be cool. Hopefully you do too. So let's jump in here. And yeah, we'll start off from the top down because that's how I like to make tracks. I kind of order my tracks in order of importance, and I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of our tracks are pretty drum heavy, so I start the tops of my sessions, if you can see up here towards the top part, are it's all drums, so it's bass, kick, I got my low mid stuff like clap, snare, stuff like that, then my hi-hats working up the frequency spectrum. And then moving down is like the rest of the ear candy, and then the green here is all of the instruments. For this one, I got an acid lead and a few other elements in here. But we're gonna walk through it. First of all, I want to kind of just give you a little preview of what it sounds like. So let's start it right here, and we'll go from there. Take a listen. And there you have it. Theory of Rave. What a tease, right? Yeah, go ahead and pre-order that track and you can listen to the full thing when it comes out. Or, you can just wait till it comes out. And I also have another video coming out on YouTube, so you can listen to it there. But either way, it'd be cool to have your support. Let's talk about the elements now. So starting from the top here, for this song, it was the Moog synthesizer, Moog, however you say it. I don't know how to say it. Leave it in the comments below. How do you guys say it? What's the proper way of saying this right here? You know what I'm talking about, right? The famous synthesizers with the, amazing sounding filters made from Bob Moog. Anyways, that's the synth I used for the bass. Rambling on here. Let's listen to it in solo. Right, just a sub. So for this particular song, the Moog's just doing the subby part of it, just kind of driving the real super sub low frequencies. Then over top of it, I put a tom. So let's add the tom in there now. And let's zoom in. Kind of make these tracks a little bit wider. Let's zoom in so we can kind of see the pattern that we got going here. I'll turn it to a 16th note grid so you can see here the pattern that's kind of going throughout the song. The da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I just got a little top layer to that tom just to add a little bit more presence, a little more clarity to the attack of the tom, almost like the beater head of a drum, a kick drum or whatever, or your drumstick hitting the drum, just giving it a little more presence so you can hear it. Right, so that's all that's going on in the low end there. And so for the subs, for the Moog, that's the sub, like I said. The tom is a little bit above that, so I EQ'd it as such. I didn't want it to interfere with the really low sub, so I did a pretty steep cutoff at around 100 hertz, just so they kind of sit nice together, interact well with each other. I didn't want them fighting for too much space. I just wanted them to complement each other. Little tip there. You need your stuff room to breathe, so that's the bass part of it. Moving on to the kick, I believe it was, I can't remember. I like to work in audio, so a lot of this stuff is recorded already. I imagine it came from my Electron, sample from one of the drum packs that I have. Then the Electron's got its own compression distortion. It's ran through the Neve preamp and then into my interface. And I did a little bit more processing after the fact, little compression, stereo, or not stereo, just it says lo-fi, but it's like a distortion, a little bit of enhancer, just to boost a little bit of the lows and a little bit of the highs around 8 kilohertz, just to give it a little more presence. So let's listen to that with the bass, just the kick and bass combo going on here. Right. So that's pretty important, in techno at least. Other genres of electronic music, maybe the kick and bass isn't the utmost important, but I think that in most dance genres, that's what moves the dance floor. That's what drives the track. That should be probably the loudest part of your track. So getting that right, I feel like is crucial, hence why I put it at the top of my mix. This is pretty much the first thing that I like to dial in, and then the rest of it kind of fits well around it. The rest of the song, all the other elements, you kind of mix in around it, but you really want to get the kick and the bass sitting really nice. So yeah, that's that. Moving down the line, let's move to this clap here, which is two claps layered together, clap and slap. I like to get creative with my clap names because usually I got quite a few in each track. So let's just listen here. The clap doesn't come in till after, the first drop, the intro. I kind of introduce some hats, some, different kind of hi-hats. like a hat and tom, the little 16th, the shaker type hi-hat, the open hi-hat. Goes into a little break, and then the first drop comes in, and that is where the clap comes in. So let's listen to the clap soloed here. Right, so pretty reverby, really, it's not like a super fat clap. It's kind of a little bit thin, but it sits well on top of the bass. Claps notoriously are not like snares. They don't have like a solid fat punch down low in them, but they're used for different purposes. So in this instance, I felt like it set pretty well on top of the mix. So here's it with the mix. Right. Sounded good to me anyways. Moving down here, this is the clap. So I named this clap with a K because it actually is a clap recorded from my Korg Volca Beats. It's got a pretty cool sounding clap. Pretty gritty, pretty lo-fi sounding, pretty dirty sounding clap. It's not the cleanest sounding clap, but when you mix it in with other clean elements like digital elements that you normally make tracks with if you're working off of a computer, it kind of dirties up the sound of your mix, and it actually gives you some contrast. Sounds pretty good. So here's that clap right here. And this is a signature sound to Astronoize, because the Korg itself has like a little delay, which I like to mess around with during the throughout the track. So you'll hear little delay fills and stuff like that. And you might recognize that because I use this in, I'm going to say 75% of the tracks just because I like the sound of it. Here it is in solo. Right. So I kind of mess with the, live. I'll jam this live. I'll just hit record over here and just jam it live. It doesn't have an input. That's why it's saying that. But I'll just jam it live. I'll do little fills, on the spot, like adding in, extra little clap hits or playing with that delay as you heard there. And that just kind of gives it a live feel, a little more groove, a little more life, and it dirties up the mix of the track a little bit in the best ways. Love it. So, and actually, that's a really cheap piece of gear. The Korg Volca Beats, look it up. The other drums on it aren't spectacular, and you really got to have a good kind of preamp to record it into, or it kind of sounds like doo-doo. I'll be honest with you. But if you got a preamp, I'm running the RNDI, the Neve preamp, and it fattens it up pretty well. So if you can afford it, it's worth it. If not, I don't know, might still be worth it. It's got a pretty good 808 on it as well. Moving on. The snare. I believe this snare is, again, something that I kind of record live as I go. I'll let the track play out. I'll just hit record over here, and I'll put the headphones in, and I'll just jam out. And this one in particular was recorded from the Roland TR8. It's an emulation of the 808 and the 909 from Roland, those two classic drum machines. The 909 in particular is the snare sound that I love to use. The 808 snare is pretty good too. It's just 909 is classic techno snare and works really good. It fits well in techno style mixes. But yeah, let's solo this and just listen to a couple fills, and you can see during the builds I got little 16th build-ups like the snare roll coming in. So let's listen in solo a couple of these right here. It's got some effects thrown on it. It's like an effect transition in between. You can see it every part where I need transitions. Anyways, here it is. And here's one of the rolls coming in. Right, so it's just an effect type, just little fills here and there to kind of keep the song moving, keep it breathing, keep it feeling like it's actually live drums, like it's, it's not just a loop. And that's another thing that I feel like is a signature of our sound. So, if you're trying to go after a sound like ours, that's how. We keep our drums live, keep them moving, keep them grooving, keep them interesting. And I definitely think the snare from the TR8 is interesting for sure. So let's move down here. This Clave is, I hope that's how you say that. This is also from the Korg Volca Beats. It's just a really good high pitched, it's to mid high pitched sound. It's got a good tone to it, and again, you can mess with the delay on the Korg, get some cool textures out of it, and it just helps add a little bit of mid range into the drums. And here it is in solo. Excuse me there as well. I think this Clave actually came from the TR8, in fact, if I'm remembering correctly, because I made this track a long time ago, and I actually made it before I switched over to Pro Tools 12, so I had to recall some of these from, lost files. So I believe this is from the TR8. Either way, yeah, Clave just adding a little bit of mid-high range elements to fill out the drum sound a little bit. And this fill, I don't even remember what this is. Let's listen. Okay, so that's actually just a drum fill. I think I have a sample pack of just a drummer. I think it's called Mike the Drummer, actually. I don't know if you'd be able to Google that and find it, but he gave away a free sample pack. I think I've literally had for years, probably close to 10 years or something like that. But it's nice. It's got some really quality, good, well-recorded drum fills, and they fit really nicely. The only thing is sometimes you kind of gotta map them to the BPM of your song, which most DAWs is pretty easy. In Pro Tools, you just go to this rhythmic little section right here. I don't know exactly what this would be called, but that's elastic audio. You hit the rhythmic section, and then you can just go to your warp markers and move it around. I'm sure every single DAW has something similar. I know for sure Ableton does, and I would imagine that most of them do. Yeah, nice little fill there. Moving on, let's get into some hi-hats. The crispiness. The crispy. Gotta have them crispy hi-hats. And again, I like to add layers on layers on layers and just get a really rich, fat drum sound. I think it really does. It's our signature, and it's important to me. It's what I love. To be honest with you, I wanted to be a drummer at first. I remember telling my parents that, and they're just like, "Heck no, man!" They got me a bass guitar, but I remember going out in the backyard and like banging on pots and pans and stuff. Anyways, I like drums. So here we got a closed hi-hat. So that's just a really short, sustained hi-hat. It's not a really long sustain on it. Let's listen in solo real quick. Right, so I actually have a video on hi-hats on how to widen them up. So this is using one of the tricks that I use to widen it up. I'll just explain it really quickly. For starters, what I do is I'll pan them, right? They're mono tracks. I pan them left and right. And then they're two different hi-hats, actually. So let's listen to one. Similar timbre, but different hi-hats. Because if you use the same hi-hat, pan them left and right, it's still going to sound mono. don't ask me the exact science. That's just how it works. And it's got to be two different hi-hats, or even maybe the same hi-hat, just kind of like pitched several semitones apart. Just so there's some difference, slight difference in the timbre and just the overall tone of the hi-hat to give it some difference, so that when you pan it, your ear perceives two different hi-hats. And what I like to do, I don't know if you heard that, is I like to go back and forth, the left quieter than the right, so you're going to hear the right more prominent, and then switch it every other hi-hat, and then the left goes louder than the right. So you can kind of even see it in the waveform here. Let me lower it down a little bit. You can see how one looks a little bit louder than the other, and then right to the next step, it switches. So the quiet one goes loud and the loud one goes quiet, and that just gives even more of a stereo panning effect. It'll bounce left and right between your both ears, and that gives it just more separation. Just makes it sound a little more clear that way. And yeah, just listen again. Right, that's a trick I use a lot, and again, I got a video on it that kind of explains it a little more, but real quickly, that's how I do it. And another layer of a hi-hat, this is just, again, a lower pitched. This one is the closed hi-hat that's straight down the middle, so I got left, right, and then one right down the middle. So it's got a good spread on it. It's a really thick sounding hi-hat, really prominent, and just kind of pokes out in the mix. And yet another hi-hat stacked on top of that. This is a 909 hi-hat, which I just love the sound of those. They're kind of thick hi-hats. They got a good kind of like chunk to them, if you will. I don't know. Explaining music sounds is weird. But yeah, listen to this one in solo. Yeah, I just love the sound of those 909 hi-hats. So all together, right? And this 909 one I'm hearing is using my, in Pro Tools, this lo-fi, which is just like a distortion unit here. And it's got this little noise under the grunge tab right here. It's got this noise, and I kind of cranked it all the way up, and you can hear it giving that like just almost like a white noise burst over top, that like which really helps hi-hats sound even crispier. It gives it more top end, more air, more breath, if you will. So let's listen with it bypassed and unbypassed so you can hear the difference of that. Right, pretty good difference there. And in the mix, right, that was the most annoying loop ever. But yeah, that's the closed hi-hat section. So moving down the line, here's the 16th hi-hats, and what I will do is one 16th hi-hat is pretty much just a loop that I just copy out through the entire song. And the other one is the TR8. It's got a cool sounding closed hi-hat that when you can do 16th notes or whatever kind of pattern you want to do, but it's got a cool decay on it. So again, I'll just go live, I'll jam out to it, hit record, let the song play, and kind of jam out with the decay setting of it, and you'll hear that again, just the hi-hat coming to life. Like if you got all these different elements moving and breathing and grooving and just, jamming all on their own, the drums themselves, literally with nothing else playing, just are like alive. And then anything else you add on top of that, it's just, like I said, it's ear candy. And I feel like it's our signature sound. I feel like it's important in techno, and I feel like it keeps stuff interesting. So let's listen to this first 16th hi-hat. Right, that's the loop, I believe, and if I'm not mistaken, let's see here. right? So you can kind of hear some subtle differences in the decay time. The hi-hat just kind of building up and that's, again, just gives some life into it. So there's, these two together, it kind of gives you a pretty good groove in 16th hi-hat, which is, kind of crucial. And this one actually, again, layers on layers, man. I added a shaker on top of this one. Right, so, yeah, moving down the line, open hi-hats. Again, that does 909. I'm sure I probably used 909 here. But I use the same technique with the open hi-hats. They're mono tracks, panned left and right, slightly different timbre. Similar sounds. You could do completely different sounds as well. I mean, experiment with that. Sky's the limit. The more different they are, the more of a difference there's going to be in your left and right ear, and your brain's going to perceive more wideness. It's going to be like, oh, whoa, like these things are swirling around my head, which is excellent for stereo field. Little trick there. But let's listen to these two together. See, so these are a little more different, and I didn't use a 909 on this one. It's kind of weird, but yeah, these two open hi-hats, which is, you got your closed, and on a regular drum set, you got the hi-hat with the pedal that you can kind of, the foot pedal, I mean, and when your foot's off the pedal, that means the cymbals are, open, so when you hit it, it's going to have a longer sustain, longer decay. And, when your foot's down on that pedal and it's a closed hi-hat, when you hit it, it's just going to be a real short, because the cymbals are together, so they don't, the tone doesn't, the sustain doesn't last as long. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't resonate as long. But yeah, open hi-hat versus closed hi-hat. Here they are again. And these are panned hard left, hard right, just to give it a big stereo field, just big spread, lots of wideness in those, because these are really the shimmer. These are going up the line. I EQ a lot out, so everything below 500 hertz. These are just the they say like the wash, the glimmer, the shimmer, the crispiness on top of your drums right there. That's what open hi-hats, I feel, the best use is for. And the wider you pan stuff in general, the more high frequencies and less low frequencies you want, is a general rule of thumb that's good to follow. Again, though, experiment. You pretty much just don't want sub, like 200 hertz and below, really wide. That would kind of mess up your stereo field. But hey, there's people who have probably done it. As far as dance music goes, though, if you're playing in a club system that's mono, it's unnecessary. So sub 200 hertz below, in the middle. Everything else, experiment. Moving on, got a ride. Simple, nice little 909 ride. This one, I am using the Pro Tools Auto Pan, and it's just barely moving. I don't have like a lot. It's not going really far left and right, which would be 100. I only have it. It was just going around like 5 or whatever. So that's just barely squeaking left and right, just to give it just slight movement, and it's at an odd timing. It's 3 bars. Every 3 bars, you can see this little dot here. That's a little indication of where the sound's at. It's not, linked to the tempo, so it's kind of swaying and moving a little bit off of the. I mean, it's linked to the tempo, but not like your typical 2, 4 bar, 8 bars, 16. So it's kind of a little oddball moving around, and it's kind of moving a little bit slow. Just gives it a little movement. Right? If you're listening off good headphones or good speakers, you can kind of hear that moving around a little bit. I think it keeps it interesting. Next up, crash. This is just a crash going throughout the song, just to give parts more impact. The start of the song, each transition kind of introduces parts really well. And that's just one of the layers, but what I also like to do is with the TR8 using a 909 style crash, I'll go through and I'll record some random crashes, which is where the interesting part of the crashes occur. So let's listen to a couple of these, because I like to mess with the delay and the timing. That gives it some weird effects that you can probably see down here in these waveforms that, man, those don't look like regular crashes. That's because they're not. So let's check them out. Right? Jam around. Like, to me, that's the benefit of having analog gear, or not even analog gear. It could be digital gear, just that you can get your hands on, because the TR8's not analog. It's an analog emulation, but it's just gear you can get your hands on. So I feel like when your hands are on something, and you're not clicking around the computer screen, clicking around a plugin or drawing in automation or something like that, you almost always come up with different ideas, spur of the moment, just using your feeling, using your gut, using your ears most of all, to just kind of go with the flow and make tracks that way. So it comes out a little more interesting sometimes it doesn't, but it's just more fun that way, more interesting sometimes. Let's listen to this weird one. This one looks weird. All right, so that's strange right there. The TR8, like I said, has its own delay on it, so I'm just like doing a crash hit and then, just automating that with my hands, like live as it's playing. I'll just hit record, let the song play, jam out. So much fun that way. Yeah, so that's all the drum sounds we got going on there. Let's actually... What do I want to do? I'm going to go ahead and do this. Make these inactive. It seems like the easiest way to go about it. So we can just get a listen to just the drums here. Let's check this out. Right, so those drums already, you can hear so much variation, the snare fills, the chord clap that I'm messing with the delay there. It's got the bass isn't just like a sub just doing some woo normal stuff. It's got some movement from that tom layered in over top of that. The 16th hat, the decays just coming in and out. You got your hi-hats, panning left and right, your ride just slightly moving. The crash even is doing weird delay effects every now and then. So all in all, the drums themselves already carry their own weight, which is, I feel, how you should just approach music making in general, is start off with quality, like literally from the get-go. Don't ever leave sounds that you're not really okay with. and just be like, oh, it'll get better later. Like, don't have this mentality of I'll fix it later, or oh, it's gonna get better. Like, every sound you put in there, you should already be like, oh my god, like this is tight right here. This is cool. I like this. This is all adding up, and then because by the end of it, you're gonna have a phenomenal song, rather than just like, okay, this is cool. Like it's carrying its own weight now. You know, you want everything as you're going to be like, oh wow, that's cool. Wow, cooler. Like build it up that way. Don't be like, oh, it'll get better. Start better. Let's move on to the ear candy here. So starting off, we'll start off with this little rabbit hole vocal. With this, I can't even remember when this was from. This was from a while ago. It actually was recorded on just like a little field recorder. I don't even know where I was at or what I was doing. I think I was walking down a tunnel, and I was just saying, you want to see how far the rabbit hole goes, and it sounded really cool in that tunnel, so I used it. And that's another good tip. Buy like a field recorder, record some random stuff, and add it in there, mangle it up, get weird with it, and you'll have some samples that people won't have. They're strictly yours. So let's listen to just that part right there. It's kind of quiet, so you might have to turn it up a little bit. Right, that's cool. And this is just like a little vocal sweep. We'll save that one for, well, actually, let's just listen. This was a sample from, I think, a D-Unity sample pack. It's just a female vocal.
To do with us.
Really clean sounding vocal. I thought it fit really well. And then these sweeps that you see here. What I did was I just took that regular vocal, and in Audio Suite, I reversed it. And then again in Audio Suite, I added reverb to it. And then I just cut off the end of that reverb and used it as little reverb sweeps. So it's similar. It sounds similar to, it's not just a random sweep, it's a sweep made from another element in the song. So it kind of like hints at the tone of, something else that's coming later in the track. Cool little way to make sweeps. You don't always need to just go reach into your sample packs to find everything, They're useful, but moving on to probably, don't die on me. Moving on to probably the most important element is the acid line. This was recorded off the Behringer TD3. Excellent machine, highly recommend. I've said this probably in other videos, and I'll say it again. Probably one of the best bang for your buck pieces of studio gear that I own at the moment. It was like $150, has an excellent acid sound. It's a little weird compared to traditional synths to learn how to program and use, but once you get it, it's pretty simple. It's got its own distortion unit. What more can I say? Acid, right? This is something, it's a piece of gear, so it's recorded live. So, I can't really show you synth patches and stuff like that. Couldn't really show you that anyways, because as you see down here, I record everything to like audio. That's just how I like to work here in Pro Tools. It's just more efficient to work that way. Saves CPU too. But yeah, let's just take a listen to this in solo. Listen to some acid. So just so crispy sounding, so dirty, so raw, in your face. Love the sound of that thing, and that is heavily processed. Just lots of extra distortion, compression, a little bit of de-essing, so once you sweep that filter up. It doesn't get too crazy. But towards the end of the build in the main breakdown here, I did what on this last little phrase here, I pitched it up actually because the machine itself doesn't go to that high of an octave. So other than that, I programmed it and I kind of played it live. Like during the break, you can hear the notes kind of change rather than it just playing the same old loop. But then, this last part, I had to shift it a whole octave up just using the audio suite, the pitch shift there. But listen to this right here, the last part of the build. Right, so again, like I said, that machine won't even go that high, so I had to pitch shift it up myself. Sounds pretty cool. I had no idea how much I loved acid until I got this machine, and I'm addicted to acid. Somebody help me. Here's just a little synth element, just adding a little pulse, a little rhythm throughout the track. I imagine it was made this was back when I had Massive. Now I am a Serum user. I actually don't even own Massive anymore because my old version doesn't work on the new Pro Tools, and I got Serum. So Serum is pretty much Massive on steroids. But anyways, this was made probably from Massive. Just kind of, you can hear me messing around with the cutoff and just kind of like the sustain and decay of it, just kind of building it up and breaking it down throughout the track. Here, let's listen to the end of this right before the drop. All right, just giving you kind of just a little, almost like a sonar sounding effect through it. And here's like the melodic type element that I bring in during the break. And I do this a lot in my tracks. I like to keep it pretty rhythmic centered during the beginning part leading up to the breakdown. The breakdown, I introduce some type of melodic element. Then I kind of, I let it drop. I let it breathe for a little bit. Just kind of let the rhythm play again, just to get you grooving and get everyone, the drop. Oh man, the drums, the bass, like get everyone just jamming, like you hype them up, man. Shoot them to the stars during that break, and then just boom, just let them just jam out for a little bit, and then bring back in that melodic element again. I always find like once you give a little break and let it just play out for a little while, and then bring it back in, everyone hears that melody, and it just pulls on your heartstrings. You're like, oh, this is it right here. I love it. Raving, man. But theory of rave. This let's listen to this right here. I love these bell sounds. Right, so that's, man, just so much energy when that's building up, and when you play it in conjunction with the acid, the two, the notes like kind of play off each other, and they sound just so uplifting, just heavenly. You're ready for those drums to come back in and just, cut the rug, man. Let's listen with everything. Let me give you a little something. right? Man, it just like so intense. Just like I said, shoots you to the stars, and then that bass comes in, and you're like, yes. Just raving, man. Glow sticking, shuffling. Getting your candy bead bracelets. Here's the saw. This one's actually a sample, I will admit. It's just a simple saw, like pitched down, kind of a low saw, but I kind of filter out the super lows. I don't need it to carry a lot of weight. I just need it to give you a little bit of a grit, like right during some transitional parts. So here it is soloed. Right. Again, I think that's another D-Unity sample pack. D-Unity kills it with those sample packs. Buy it from Beatport, straight from Beatport, which is where you can also buy this track. March 26th, this Friday. I am Techno. Shameless plug. But yeah, that's just during little transitional parts, you can hear it doing a little filter sweep. A little fun there. And yeah, that's most of the important elements. And last but not least is just the last little effects. And I'll just go ahead and let's solo these and just go through a few of them. They're pretty standard. Just some sweeps, crashes, swishes and swooshes, splishes and splooshes, pings, rims, stuff like that. Let's listen to these. What's up, guys? TJ here. So again, I just want to say a big thank you for checking out our YouTube videos. It really means a lot. Both Nick and I put a lot of work into the different types of videos we do. So thank you for checking them out. Thank you for watching. And I just want to remind you to, if you found any enjoyment out of this particular video, go ahead and hit like. It really means a lot to us. It helps us out, helps our videos get seen by other people who are like-minded and might like it as well. I just want to go ahead and remind you also to subscribe and hit the little bell notification icon. That way you just get reminded and updated every time we release a new video, some new content, new goodies for you guys to check out. And also don't hesitate to drop a comment below. We will read all of them, try to respond to everything in a timely manner. And yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, drop it in the comment box to this video, or you can find us on social media at Astronoize Music. But yeah, we'll try to respond to everything. So until next time, guys, make some music. Peace.